evening and welcome to another edition of Beyond the Front Page for the fall 2019 semester here at Cayuga Community College and broadcast on Spectrum, Verizon, Fios, the Auburn Regional Media Access, better known as ARMA, as well as the college's radio station 89.1. I'm your host, Guy Cosentino. There is virtually no debate that the opioid crisis, in fact, the issue of addiction on the whole, has had a tremendous impact on our nation, and that has been the case here in Cayuga County for more than half a decade. The numbers are not good. They are still not good in Cayuga County. In 2018, we had the 12th highest drug fatality rate in New York State of 62 counties, while in 2018 the number of deaths was down to 19 from 24 in 2017. There are still 460 Cayuga County residents admitted annually for opioid addiction, according to the website of our guest tonight. While the fight has been waged on multiple fronts, both from a law enforcement to a treatment perspective, there are real people involved here. Those who have been personally hit by this epidemic can be totally devastated and shrink only into their sorrow, or in some cases, as we have seen here locally, make public their loss and fight to help others. One such case has been Joe Campanella and Nick's Ride for Friends that was founded after the death of his son on December 28, 2015. A grassroots not-for-profit, it is dedicated to preventing heroin and opioid addiction and helping those who are battling addiction overall. We have Mr. Campanella in the studio today with us to talk about Nick's Ride for Friends, including a new effort to find a permanent home assisted by a $940,000 downtown revitalization initiative grant, better known as DRI. With him today are two of his board members, Cayuga County Sheriff Brian SCHENCK, as well as Julie Pisak. I hope I said it right. Pisak? Who is a member of the board as well. All three of you, welcome. We're delighted to have you here, and I know we've been trying to schedule this for some time. So just before I do, Sheriff, I know in today's newspaper you've lost your stepmom today, so very sorry about that as well. And our thoughts to your family and to your dad, who I worked with for many, many years when he was town supervisor.
Thank you.
So for those who don't know, what is Nick's Ride for Friends?
Well, Nick's Ride for Friends is a grassroots organization. We're a not-for-profit, and we're helping people that are struggling with the disease of addiction, and we're trying to help them overcome that and get back to be productive in society, to be back around their family, to be, just to have a life again, because it is a disease, and not everybody is cursed with the disease. A lot of people are, and you can have the disease and it can lay dormant for most of your life, but you can make that one choice, that one night at a party, and decide to pick up or try some type of drug. Or you yourself, Guy, could leave here tonight, God forbid, blow your knee out, get put on oxycodones or something like that, and if the molecular structure in your brain is that way, if you are wired that way, as many as 3 opioid pills could lead you into full-blown addiction.
So how did this come about?
Well, Nick's Ride came about when I learned that Nick was, when he first came to me and said, Dad, I'm addicted to heroin and I don't want to be this way anymore. And I reached out to a very dear friend of mine, Kevin Jones, who lost his stepdaughter, Jessica Gentile. And I asked Kevin, what do I need to do? I don't know anything about this heroin. He says, this is what you need to do. You need to learn everything you possibly can and prepare yourself for one of the hardest fights you're ever going to have to fight, and you potentially could lose it. And we did. We wound up losing to the epidemic. It's an insidious disease. But Nicholas didn't wake up one day and run 5 miles and say, I'm going to go get addicted. He got hurt in a sport.
So this was a wrestling accident?
Yes, it was.
And it led to that.
And it happens every day, and it's still happening.
So can you tell us something about Nick?
Oh, Nick he was everybody's friend. I mean, everybody that, let me just step back. You were saying something earlier about what a family can do when you can feel this loss. There's 2 things you can do. You can either get better or you can get bitter. You can go on and you can learn from it and you can try to help a lot of other people. So, because tonight when we go to bed, 207 phones are going to ring. And on the other end of that phone is going to be some law enforcement officer or doctor telling them that they're not going to see their son or daughter anymore. You know, I could have, granted, I could still be sitting on a bar stool or in a clock tower somewhere, mad at everybody. But no, I decided to floor it, you know, to do everything I possibly could. I got involved with HEAL. And when I was involved with HEAL, me and Kevin Jones looked, and we looked up in Cayuga County in the middle of this epidemic. There was not one Heroin Anonymous meeting. And I'm not here to preach any of the AAs. I'm all about recovery. I have nothing to do with Anonymous.
But that could be a piece of the overall puzzle.
So one night, I put up these signs, and we started the first Heroin Anonymous meeting here in Auburn, New York, on a terribly cold, rainy October night. And I didn't have a building at the time, so I put the parking garage address down. I bought a box of Joe coffee from Dunkin', and that chilly night, 41 people stood in that parking lot wanting recovery. And I knew then that something had to be done. And I still had Nick on earth with me at that time. That's when I started. When Nick came to me and said, I'm sick, we couldn't get him into a rehab. We weren't detoxing at Auburn Community Hospital yet, like we are now. And that's saving a lot of lives.
So how old would he be this year?
He would be 24 years old this year.
And again, I would, if you don't mind, he was a wrestler.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about him.
Oh man, he was a great kid. He was a good wrestler. He was a team captain, 2 years going. He loved his coaches and he loved his players and his teammates. And when we were at his calling hours, and the people that came up to me that I never once met, that just told me what a wonderful young man, whether it was an old lady that he bagged groceries for at Wegmans or someone he shoveled the sidewalk, or, you know, and one of his very best friends, his teacher, Mr. Farrar, came to me and said he was an advocate for the underdog, you know.
And so you and your wife Sherry had started to found Nick's Ride for Friends before this,
No, we jumped into it right after we had the first ride.
And so why the name, by the way?
Well, Nick's Ride for Friends, that's what this is. Nick's Ride, your ride is life. What you do before the day you're born, like here's mine, November 20th, 1969, / who knows. The only thing that is important to anybody, to yourself, your mom, your dad, is what you do in that dash or the /. And that is your ride. That's life. And that's what, there's no parent wants to lose their son and say, that's it, he's in the ground, it's done. My son's ride is still going on. Nick's Ride in 2018 serviced 11,606 people, documented, came through the door of 12 South, whether it was for a bad cup of coffee, just to come blow their nose on a cold day, or to come talk to a
clubhouse.
counselor.
That's next to Shine's Theater.
Yes, it is.
So, by the way, happy pre-birthday. I think last week it was Kathleen Cuddy. She was here from the
well,
county
I
health
wasn't
department.
plugging that.
No, but happy
Yes,
birthday.
Tomorrow I'll be 21 and be able to have my first drink.
I think it's a big one, too.
So just for the two of you, how did you get involved? You're both on a not-for-profit board, correct? Nick's Ride's a not-for-profit board. How did you both get involved?
So Joel and I go way back to when we were little kids, and his grandfather lived a couple houses down from me. And we spent our summers together when his mom would drop him off, and we just got to be really good friends. And we had lost touch for a long time, and I read in the newspaper that his son died, and my daughter's 2 years older than his son, and my heart broke, and I knew that I wanted to do something to help Joel and his family. I didn't know what at the time. I just thought I'd reach out to him, so I did, and I said, you know, if you ever need a friend, I'm here for you. And we got to know each other again, and our relationship kind of built again, and, you know, I just wanted to help. And I've been in this community since I was born, and I want it to be better. I don't want our kids to face things like addiction. So I wanted to get involved, and I did. So,
And we're grateful to have her.
Sheriff?
I actually met Joel through the HEAL organization, the not-for-profit HEAL, the Heroin Epidemic Action League. I got involved with HEAL early on in that organization's inception because
So long before you were sheriff.
a few years before I was sheriff, but I started to realize, I've been in law enforcement for 22 years, but I started to realize a number of years ago that our law enforcement efforts alone were not enough to deal with addiction and the struggles that we were seeing in our community. And I started to get frustrated with the number of overdoses that we were seeing and the deaths, and I started to learn that we need to support other initiatives, not just law enforcement, but recovery and treatment initiatives, and also prevention and awareness initiatives. And that led me and my wife, Dee Dee, to get involved with HEAL. And through HEAL, I met Joel, and I learned real fast that Joel's got a lot of energy, and Joel's the kind of guy that gets things done. And I learned that if he tells you he's going to do something, no matter how difficult of an obstacle you think that is, he's going to make it happen. So you need to listen to him. But when he founded Nick's Ride, I knew right away that that's an organization that I was going to be involved with and support as well.
So when was the not-for-profit founded?
2017.
So you're about a little over 2 years old.
Yeah.
How big a board do you have?
We have quite a board. I believe right now we sit at 15,
Okay.
and it's quite a respectable board.
And you serve as the president or
Uh,
director?
I am a director of programs and operations. I don't sit on the board. I'm actually an employee for Nick's Ride.
Okay. And who else are who are some of your fellow board members?
Joe Calarco sits on the board. Dr. Adam Duckett, our coroner, who, if you know Dr. Duckett, you know he's very passionate about this.
Wherever he is given a soapbox, he will talk about this
Yes.
in a good, positive
Yeah.
way.
Nancy Sumner, we have Matt Chelnick, right?
He's your board president, if I ever.
Yes.
So, so
A bunch of people: Keith Cutler, John Guerin, Demetrius Murphy, Pat Carbonaro keeps us out of our legal
little
stuff.
trouble. That's his job. So.
And we're blessed to have Mary Beth Leeson with us, who helps
Great
us
finance
with the
person
money.
of the county now
Yeah.
in the treasurer's office.
And I have a solid team of peers that work with me.
So what programs do you offer so the clubhouse is 12 South. What do you offer there now?
Oh, right now there's all sorts of self-help meetings. You know, there's a meeting going on there every day that you can find a self-help meeting there. But every day from 9 o'clock till the last person leaves, you can find, again, something to eat, a place to go if you need someone to talk to. You know,
So is it a charge for the service?
No, that's it. And this is what our fundraisers are for. We have three people, me, myself, and Shannon, that are me, Casey, and Shannon. And we're the only ones that receive a tiny salary from it, and that is what Ray Bazzari funds us with. Every penny that we
Head
make,
of county health.
yes,
Okay.
every penny that we make through one of our fundraisers or our donations, that is, and I'll go to my grave with it written like this, that does not go towards any salary. That goes towards bettering the people that need the help, whether it's their programs, whether it's getting them to different facilities where we have to drive them ourselves, whether we have to do an act of kindness, because some people, we pick them up from the jail and they've got nothing, but they went therein, you know, so we'll have to get them clothes.
So can you bill insurance for any of the services?
Right now, because we are not an OASIS provider, we do not, we're unable to bill any insurance.
Is that something you might do if you get to the convent?
Yes, and what we are able to do now, we've been talking with Rob Kent, the head of OASIS, the commissioner of OASIS, I guess I should say, to where we now, Nick's Ride will be able to work as a subcontractor, and we will be able to bill different entities such as CHAD or some of the other services that are here, maybe SRS, you know.
So you gave me a number, you said a number, and I should have followed up on it back then. How many people do you serve in a given year?
Well, last year documented was 11,606, and as of when I left today, we're at 838 people. 9,838
okay, all right.
people. Yeah, I'm trying to see the
okay,
numbers
that's
in my
fine.
head.
So is it the fundraisers that cover the cost for the clubhouse right now?
Yes.
Okay. So you were looking for money. I went to your website, which is wonderful, and they're popping it up every now and then. They're popping up two pieces of information. One is your website, which has a whole lot of information, where you can also donate and find information about donations, and we'll get to that in a second. But also if you need services, and that's more important in this particular case. But you were trying to raise money for a van. Were you able to get the van?
Yes, thanks to the French Metcalf Foundation. They came through.
And why did you need a van?
Because we picked people up. Well, again, with my research, you'll see a lot of people come to meetings during the summertime when it's nice out. You'll watch the numbers decrease when it gets cold out and when it's raining out. You know, so we started putting all of these pieces together. Well, why aren't they here? Well, it's -12. You know, I don't like walking. Most of our clients, our friends, anybody who works with us at 12 South that comes in for our service, number one, they're not a consumer, they're not a client, they're a friend. And that's how we rate everybody as our friend. And we will pick them up, bring them to meetings. The van will help them. On a certain day, we meet a bunch of people that may be in supportive living that do not have vehicles, and take them on a road trip maybe to Aldi's a couple times a month where they can save money on getting some groceries or whatever they need. Some of them need a doctor's appointment. You know,
So full service in that they quality of life issues as well.
Exactly.
You mentioned a few minutes about people who might be leaving county lockup. I want to ask you a couple quick questions about this, Sheriff. So do you have I don't know if you call them inmates. That's the term I would use. What do you call them? The mayor was saying guests a few minutes ago. I'm not sure you would say that.
Yeah, I mean, we still know them to be inmates. But
so how many can you house in a given day?
We have room for 214 at our jail currently, but today I believe our population was just under 140.
So as a percentage, do you have an idea of how many or any of those have addiction issues?
A vast majority of the inmates that we see do struggle with addiction and mental health issues, and that's what led us to institute a number of new programs and add a position of a transition coordinator at the jail that helps people, the inmates at the jail, transition from the jail back out into the community once they're released.
So before they get to transition, what do you do when somebody's there? Because they can be there up to 364 days, correct?
Correct.
And so if somebody has an addiction issue when they're there, how do you deal with treatment and addiction in the facility?
Well, initially when they're brought to the facility, they're screened by our medical staff, and if it's determined that they don't have any type of an emergency issue that requires emergency medical treatment, we'll look at their addiction and assess their addiction and then connect them with services that we're providing right now through CHAD, Confidential Help for Alcohol and Drugs, which is a provider here in our community. They are in our jail, so they're providing services in our jail, and they provide treatment services along with peer support currently. With the help of Ray Bazzari and OASIS, we were able to obtain some funding through the state to bring them in to provide some peer support and some treatment services.
And once you said you have a transition coordinator, so what's their job?
The transition coordinator, her job is to help inmates prepare for release. And it wasn't too long ago that if an inmate served their time and was released by a judge, we basically just opened the door and they would go with no plan, no ride, nothing in place. I'm proud to say now that
Central's not a stop at your office. And I should say you're both at the same office in the sheriff's office. When I say that, Central's not a normal regular stop at your place.
It's not. No, they do not stop at our facility. So now we have the transition coordinator that will help plan in advance for that inmate's release, set that inmate up with any necessary treatment that they may need after the incarceration, or maybe housing, or oftentimes the inmates may come in the summer. They have summer clothes, but when they leave, it's cold, it's winter. The transition coordinator will help set that person up with the right clothing for when they leave the facility. But one of the challenges that we have faced is a ride from the facility, and we've just started to partner with Joel. I think we've done it twice now, but Joel has been able to help us through Nick's ride.
So you see that partnership there expanding over time as well?
I see a lot of potential to help people struggling with addiction, not just with a ride, but I see Joel and his services providing some additional peer support for our inmates while they're in our facility. I'd like to see more peer time in our facility so that inmates can spend time with the peers and build that relationship so that when they leave, they can continue to work with that peer to work on recovery and certainly link them with Nick's ride.
So one of the pieces of good news that you've had along the way over the last year, but really came to fruition this summer with Kathy Hochul, the Lieutenant Governor, coming to town, was there's of the DRI, the Downtown Revitalization Initiative grant, there is money set aside. Is it $940,000?
Correct.
And what will that be used for?
That will be used for revamping 13 Chapel Street that was donated to us by the Boolean Association, Chuck Boolean.
That's the old convent,
Yes,
convent, not
behind-
covenant, convent behind Holy Family.
Yes, adjacent
Okay.
to the Holiday Inn. And that, we have a beautiful rendering of it and what it's going to be. We will be having space on the second floor for East Hill Medical will be coming in there with their treatment services for addiction. So what we're hoping, and with what we have lined up and already the potential tenants, we're hoping basically, Guy, that it's a one-stop shop. And I don't mean anything light by that, but
No, but centralizing services
but
is
yeah,
helpful,
exactly. Picture this.
especially if you don't have transportation.
Someone walks in to talk to Dr. Adam Duckett. Okay, well, okay, you're not ready to see Adam yet. You need to be detoxed. Let's take you back down to Joel's office or the ride's office.
So just so we have
Then
this
we
for the
set
record, Dr. Duckett is the county coroner, but he's also an active doctor in our community.
Correct,
Just-
yes, and he's in the
when
jail
you said see
too.
him, he can see
Yeah.
you one of two ways, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I wanna
yeah.
just
Oh,
clarify
thanks for
that,
clearing that
sorry.
up. Yeah, he sees you when you're still walking
Yes,
too.
okay.
And that's a good point, too. He is our contracted medical doctor within our facility at the jail, so we have that link there as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he's very passionate.
So you're looking at a one-stop shop, and so would you close the clubhouse and move everything down?
Yep.
Okay.
And we would have a perfect space for our new clubhouse facility, a big communal kitchen with an industrial kitchen, communal boardroom. But, okay, so now if Adam wasn't ready to treat him, they come back down to us. Now we talk to a satellite facility, whether it's Cove Forge or whoever. You know, there's a bunch of them that we send our friends to get their help for the 30 days or more if we can. So now we're able to, okay, they never left the building. Because when someone comes in and said, that's it, I'm done, I don't want this anymore, you have their attention span to get them into treatment. That's the amount of time you have to work with them.
So we have about 5 more minutes. There's like 13,000 other
Get it.
items I want to talk. So I want to ask a couple quick questions. So DRI is covering how much of this project?
$940,000, but
How much is the overall project? Do you have an estimate at this day?
1.3 million, and we came up with 400,000 on that. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, we have to come up with the whole 940,000. Then we have to do our due diligence for the state, which I'm all about doing. I've done plenty of state jobs in my contract.
So how much do you think you have to raise?
We have to. Well, we have to show the 400,000, and then we have to go to the bank and get a guarantee for 940,000, and then hope that the state
Reimburses you. So what's your do you have a fundraising deadline? Is there a date that you have to raise what you have to raise by?
No, we have the Allen Foundation behind us that is helping us, and we're talking with the Emerson Foundation right now, and again, the French Medcalf is on our side.
And I saw the county is coming up with 25,000.
yeah.
Was that out of the blue? Were you surprised when you read that in the newspaper?
I wasn't surprised because I went to them and presented, but I never asked for an amount.
So you never asked for that, and so,
No, so
and I
I
know
was
there's an issue
surprised
about
at that.
contract, and they're trying to
Yeah,
resolve that
they
through
just-
Chris Palermo, the county
Yes.
attorney. So for a not-for-profit that has only been around for 2.5 years, this is a heavy lift.
Mm-hmm.
And so people can help you. They can go onto the website and find ways to help you out that way, correct?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Okay. You also do 2 events. So you
Yes.
do, and like I said, there's a lot of, what is Nick's Night Out?
Nick's Night Out is a gala. It's a formal event in March. This year we're being hosted by the Chantal Marie.
March 20th.
March 20th, yes, it's a Friday night. And they donated the space to our organization, which is awesome. and we do a lot of just social.
How much does it cost to go?
Well, we have to figure that out still because we're asking for sponsorship this year.
So you're working on some of those things. So people can go to your website and look, but tickets will be for sale to the general public.
Tickets will be for sale probably in January, and depending on what our sponsorship looks like, it'll probably be between $100 to $125 a ticket.
And you have Nick's Ride for Friends, which is an event. What is that?
That's our motorcycle ride, and Joel can probably talk a little bit more about that, like why he started that.
Go ahead.
Just because if you want to raise money, and you got to get with the bikers. I mean, they really care. They got big hearts on whether it's puppy dogs or awareness or what. But on the last Nick's ride, it was truly an epic fail. The tent failed. The rain came down. And you knew that morning when you woke up that it was going to rain, but still,
they showed
because of this wonderful community that I'm so grateful to be a part of, 177 motorcycles showed up that day, knowing they were going to get wet for this cause.
And do you know when that will be again this year? Or is
The third week in August.
Third week in August, okay. So, by the way, does the money raised from those two events, there's a wrestling scholarship, which seems more than appropriate. Does part of the money go to the wrestling?
It does. We have a wrestling scholarship, and then we put a wrestling camp on, courtesy, we team up with Champions for Life, and Nick's biggest mentor was John Albarisi. So
Great
John,
guy.
Wonderful man.
So does the wrestling scholarship go to a high school student? Who's it go to?
It goes to 2 high school students that, you know.
Do you do other events, or are those the 2 main fundraising events that you?
Those are the 2 we are focusing on. You know, we're somewhat new to the not-for-profit world, so we depend on our community, and this is kind of a small community, so we don't want to keep tapping the well,
Right.
so to speak. But we do depend on them.
I've always had a very hard time asking for money.
The community's been extremely generous to this cause.
And you can go to the website and look that up. So, last 2 real quick, because I'm told to wrap it up, but I'm going to take the extra time because this is important. You say on your website that you had an addiction issue as well.
Correct.
Well, do you mind me asking what it was?
Alcohol, bourbon to be exact, and cocaine.
So did your recovery and your work to overcome addiction, has that helped?
Absolutely. That's, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, that's better than any PhD you could ever have. Because I know I'm sad to sit here right on TV with all these millions of people that are going to see this to say, yes, I know what it's like to step over my son and daughter to have another drink or to have another drug. They didn't teach you that in Harvard or when you got your PhD. You know, it might say on page 176, this is what it might be like. Right. But I know, and I wake up every day sometimes thinking maybe it was me that killed my son. But my son, ultimately what took his life was the kill bag, pure fentanyl and synthetic acid, not making light of it.
Right.
If it was heroin, he would have shot up, went to work, you know, and then we would have had a chance to save him.
So, Sheriff, I unfairly asked the mayor in the last show what the numbers are like. Are we on a decline in the number of overdoses?
Knock on wood, this year we are on a decline in overdose deaths. We are still seeing a fair number of overdoses, and there's a number of factors I think that have weighed in to help that number go down.
Other things.
Narcan, I think a lot of people are self-medicating with the Narcan, so we don't know exactly how many people are out there using it. But the actual hard numbers of overdose deaths, we are way down, and I hope that trend continues.
And
Can I say the exact numbers, Brian, if you don't mind? I just confirmed it with, again, our good coroner. Last year, on today's date, we had 24. A year from last year, right now, today, we're at 8. So something is happening. It's not just Nick's Ride. It's not what Brian's doing.
It's a community response.
It's what we're all doing as a community. So we got to keep going
and
with the effort.
do you think that going after, the mayor was on just at the last part of the show talking about going after the opioid companies. Do you think that is appropriate?
I'm all for that, but I say we keep going after these dealers that are right here on the street killing our children. And yes, we stay vigilant after them, but right now we need to take care of what's right in front of us.
Right. So people can donate towards the DRI project as well. If you make a I don't know if you know this, if you make a donation to the United Way and you earmark it for Nick's Ride, does it go towards Nick's Ride?
I think that they have to do that.
It's to a not-for-profit.
I think that they would, yes.
So I'm giving you the last 20 seconds before they kill me in the control room.
You can't do it. Go ahead.
No. If somebody needs help, talk to them. What do they need to do?
Reach out to somebody. Just understand, never give up. You're stronger than you know, and you are loved. You know, just don't ever give up. You can reach out to me. I've been there. I know what it's like. I've woke up cold, tired, and hungry, and we can get through this. There's a solid team of people at 12 South. Look my number up, 315-246-6485. Night or day, you can call me, and you know you can live happy, joyous, and free. I promise you that. Just remember, you're stronger than you think you are.
We want to thank all three of our guests. I hope you'll come back in the spring, give us an update.
I will.
Thank you, Sheriff. I want to thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You've been on me to coordinate this, and I'm thanking.
I appreciate you coming. This is an important topic.
It is
follow
very
through.
important.
So our guests have been the founder of Nick's Ride, Joel Campanella, Julie Piasek, who is a member of the board, and Cayuga County Sheriff Brian Schenck, who we're going to talk to you in the spring about other things that, like bail reform,
Sure,
and things that are on your other job.
We've got lots of good topics to talk about.
We want to thank all of you. Good luck with the fundraising,
Thank you very
and
much.
have a great holiday.
You too.
We will want to thank all three of our guests, and we'll be back on Thursday with two back-to-back editions of Inside Government. The first will be with Senator Pam Helming, who will talk about an Albany update, and then we'll have Dr. Adam Effler, the Owasco Lake Watershed Management Council's Executive Director, to talk to us about the lake and also financial issues related to his work. We'll finish off our fall 2019 season next Tuesday with former New York State Senator John DeFrancisco talking about his book, Never Say Never Again. It just came out. And City Manager Jeff Dygert with a city update. Before we go, though, we would like to let you know that you can send us your ideas for questions or shows. You can send them to cozguytho@aol.com or Inside Government or Beyond the Front Page, 141 Dunning Avenue, Auburn, New York, 13021. I'm Guy Cosentino for Cayuga Community College. We want to thank you for watching. We hope you have a great couple days, and we'll see you back here in the studio on Thursday.